Jeffrey, what's the rand?
What is? Hello? That's Rudy? Yes, Hannes.
But now all of a sudden you got 60 minutes down.
Meneer, ons betaalt 94 selling 99. Ja. Ja, as jy by my koop 99. Ja. I'm paying 94. Ja. 93, 98.
Can you find Rudy?
Nie noodwendig, ek sit 'n dealing ticket in, confirm net. I get, that's agreed.
Kevin. Thanks, Richard.
Morning to you.
Thank you. 72.
Watching?
$. Yes, that's not very nice, is
Yeah.
it?
272.
Yes, hello.
It's very bad.
No, it's all new contracts. Anyway. Nobody's got tickets.
2027.
And that was it the last time I phoned cover, which you did do. So I think we were right there. Yeah, no. I don't think it's a big no. Look, there's a lot of. I think what's happened at the moment is the demand for the commercial rand, the Sowetan anniversary riot, the worry of that is already built into the rate.
3064.
After the 16th, I think you'll see the rand pick up again. Not too high levels, but possibly to about 41, 42 cents again. Yeah. Then of course the rand could go a lot lower. But I don't think the authorities can allow it to go too low, because if it does start going too low, I think what you'll find then is that they'll work on a fixed exchange rate system and reimpose fixed exchange rates. So there's one form or the other that will be able to stop it. But that'll be their last resort.
Mr. De Villiers, the rand dropped quite dramatically this morning. Why?
I would see it as a continuation of the drop that started maybe 2-3 weeks ago, following, let's say, on the bombing raids into the neighbouring countries. Plus you have June 16 coming towards us at the moment. It's probably a June 16 of somewhat more importance because it's the 10th anniversary of the Soweto riots. I think those two factors together are causing the rand to drop. I think in addition what you're beginning to see is a hardening of attitudes on the South African government side. I think to some degree the government is beginning to show that they're willing to, let's say, run the gauntlet of sanctions. So I think that hardening of attitudes on the South African side is more likely to lead to, obviously, a hardening of attitudes on the foreign side. And I suppose a lot of dealers at the moment are saying the chances of sanctions have probably increased, and that's also being reflected in the price at this point in time.
Now, the Eminent Persons Group are threatening to call for sanctions against South Africa. What do you predict that will do to the exchange rate?
The impression I have at this point in time is that a degree of sanctions, limited sanctions, are already built into the exchange rate. You do in fact have a counter argument. You have an argument which says that if if we are leading towards sanctions, we might also be leading towards a much greater measure of government control, much more exchange control, which in turn, of course, could strengthen the exchange rate to much closer to its purchasing power parity.
Do you think that the rand can fully recover in this, given the political climate at the moment?
I don't think the rand could recover to a correct purchasing power parity under the present political climate. You need something of a miracle. So it'll always trade in a free market at some discount over the purchasing power parity.
So just in layman's terms, what is the prediction then for, what do you expect the rand to do over the next while, over the next few weeks?
I think the rand would probably weaken unless there was some indication from the government of a greater measure of control, exchange control, in which case it could suddenly leap back very suddenly. Because if you were speculating down at 35 cents and 36 cents, and then it became fairly clear that the government was going to introduce sufficient exchange control to strengthen the rand, you'd immediately have a great fear of that happening, and then the rand would suddenly leap upwards. So I think what you could have is you could have the rand sliding and occasionally leaping upwards on the strength of rumours of exchange control. In fact, that happened last week, where you had the rand down at 38.5, and it went all the way to 40.5 within a few minutes on that very rumour. The rumour turned out to be false, but it showed you how nervous the market was.
Thanks very much, Mr. Villiers.
Okay.